George W. Bush's job approval rating, very stable and certainly not the lowest of his administration. George W. Bush's job approval rating, 34%. That's from our Weekend USA Today Gallup poll. Three things I want to point out about this 34% number. First of all, it represents a great deal of stability this year. We've measured Bush job approval 11 times in 2007. The arithmetic mean, the average has been 35%. Our low point so far this year, 32%. Our highest rating so far this year, 38. The average has been 35, current rating 34. All of this suggests that the underlying population parameter, as we call it statistically, the underlying job approval rating in the population is at about 35% and really hasn't changed all that much. Second point I would make, this is not the lowest of the Bush administration. Bush had a 31% rating, 3 points below the current rating back in May of 2006. Third point, this is not the lowest in a generation, and it's not lower than Bush's father, who had a 29% at one point. Jimmy Carter, before that, had a 28% in 1979. Bush's current 34 is not near either of those two figures. Why do I bring up some of these points? Well, Newsweek released a 28% job approval rating over the weekend, and in some of the write-ups, they and others pointed out or said that this was the lowest in generations, going back to Jimmy Carter, lower than Gallup's rating for Bush's father back in 1992. It's tricky to compare polls from one organization against polls from another organization based on these house effects that I've talked about. We think it's more legitimate to compare Gallup to Gallup to Gallup, and when we do that, we see that the current 34% is not lower than Bush's father and is not the lowest poll in generations since Jimmy Carter in terms of Bush's job approval rating. Tomorrow on the Daily Briefing, we'll look at new numbers on Americans' attitudes towards Iraq and what's happening in the battle between George W. Bush and Congress on what to do going forward. I'm Dr. Frank Newport, Editor-in-Chief of the Gallup Poll with Democracy on Demand. Take the Daily Briefing with you. Search for Gallup at the iTunes Music Store.